the private sector a stable environment for investment. That will allow for enhanced collection of revenue and efficient utilization of the same to facilitate transformation of the economy from domestic revenues and from external sources in order to achieve our national development objectives. And
who are very important to us because they represent more than 50% of our lending to Kenya. So,
thank you very much.
What were in the mind of the founding fathers? One was the independence and self-determination of all the people.
It has been true to the ideals of its founding fathers, strong and steadfast in the pursuit of its twin goals, of fighting poverty and of promoting sustainable economic growth. $100 billion. The bank enjoys a AAA credit rating on the international capital markets. In only half a century, the African developing governance and accountability, developing human capital through health and education, skills and technology. The bank is bettering the lives of the people of Africa. 14 million Africans have benefited from new or improved access to water and sanitation. 27 million Africans have benefited from access to better health services. The bank works in countries larger and smaller. The bank has adapted and evolved. In the 1970s, it introduced concessionary low-interest loans. In the 1980s, it widened its membership and its capital base by including non-African countries. In the 1990s, the bank began lending to and developing the African private sector. Natural resources, and it builds sustainable infrastructure. The bank is more than just a bank. It is a knowledge institution, developing and disseminating best practice. It is an advocate. It is a catalyst.
And the civil society, and if I will request that they just speak in that order, starting with Carol, please.
2006, the ADB provided a mere $200 million in private sector operation. By 2012, and through introduction of new and innovative instruments, including partial risk and credit risk guarantees, that window has substantially enlarged to approximately $1.2 billion in private sector lending. This reflects Africa's emergence as an attractive investment destination and the numerous opportunities available in ICT, financial service, extractive industries, and regional infrastructure finance. Now, let me quickly turn my attention to Kenya for a minute or two. I must acknowledge that Kenya is one of the early partner countries of the African Development Bank. Through these many years, the bank has had a very cordial relation with the government and people of Kenya and has enjoyed a warm relation. The bank first started its operation in Kenya in 1967. And ever since, today the bank lending in Kenya in terms of loan and grant approval amounts to over 3.15 billion US dollars cumulatively. As of December 2013, the bank's active public sector portfolio included 28 projects with over $1.3 billion worth of investments. Similarly, we have invested in 13 operations in the private sector to the tune of close to another $1 billion in the private sector, particularly when the Lake Turkana wind project comes to fruition. I think that will definitely put us over the top. Suffice it to say, though, Kenya is home to some of the bank's flagship projects, undertaken jointly and proudly with the government of Kenya and other development partners. These include, to mention just a few, the Thika Superhighway, and we have the architect here, Engineer Michael Kamau, the Mombasa-Addis Ababa Road, the Menengai Geothermal Project, the Lake Turkana Wind Project, and the Ethio-Kenya Energy Superhighway. These are but just a few of the key flagship projects in the country. We recognize that the bank's contribution to Kenya's overall development financing is small in relation to the country's need. However, our support can be catalytic and help mobilize funding in addition to our own resources from the ADB and other windows. In conclusion, honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen, 50 years later, the ADB mandate remains relevant as it was 50 years ago, if not more relevant than ever before. All problems have metamorphosized, taking on new shapes and forms, and newer ones and complex ones are emerging. We need quality growth which includes all people and which uses our abundant natural resources in a sustainable manner. The transformation demand focused and sustained leadership and sacrifice. On the bank side, the toolkit of products and services and responses evolving to remain fit into the 21st century and ensure coherence with Africa's development challenges. The ADB will remain Africa's institution for all time and for all seasons, in good times and in bad, in austerity and in prosperity.
Something else that I really want to congratulate the ADB on is acting as a mediator between countries. We have Ministry of Foreign Affairs, they are supposed to do that, but in most cases, theirs is not about projects. And the best project is the project between us and Ethiopia, the Isiolo to Addis, bringing together Kenya and Ethiopia, almost forcing us to sit down and talk, arranging the negotiations to take place at the same time for that road in Tunis, and making sure the Ethiopian delegation and the Kenyan delegation come at the same time, and then arranging for a one-day conference where we agree on how to support the one-stop border post, which was not in existence, making sure that you build links between myself and the director, and now very good links between myself and the minister. I was in Ethiopia, making sure that we really laud the ADB for doing. Lastly, I would like to really commend you as ADB for your understanding on very many issues that affect road development, for what now we are seeing as transformative, inclusive development. Because one of the biggest problems within Africa is people don't have anything to talk about, anything good. Because if there is no development, and like Thika Road, and allow me to go back to it, there will be others. We are doing great things at the airport, and you've come at the airport after the fire. I was forgetting. The airport, very quickly, you syndicated funds for us to put up a temporary terminal. Very quickly, 2.5 million. And that terminal is going to be up in August 14th. That money was syndicated very, very quickly, out of understanding that there was a need. Instead of coming us and telling us that we were careless, oh, they cannot take care of their fire, they cannot take care of their airport. Suppose if we give you this one, oh, how are we going to make sure that it's not going to be burnt? You know, because of course, if we burn a whole airport, why don't we are going to burn a temporary thing. So you don't give us a lecture. First of all, you address the need and then work with us on building. So that understanding is very, very key. And what I was talking about is giving African people an alternative to talk about. The debate about Pangani, people had not seen. Oh,
megawatts, particularly in the development of the green energy in the area that we draw so much
competitive advantage in geothermal, where we have about an estimate of 10,000 megawatts potential. We want to thank you for the development in the Menengai. It is one area where we believe as Kenya that we can invest like other countries have invested to be able to address the cost of power. And we are doing that together with a number of the partners in the room today. But Africa Development Bank has been a true partner also in the development of geothermal. Geothermal development is green, good energy, sustaining good baseload, available almost 93–94%. And as we develop this energy to address the concern and challenges of our economy today at about 7 cents US, I'm confident that we can address some of the challenges I talked to in addressing the cost of power, managing the environment, because it is basically the byproduct or the waste is steam, which we reinject to manage the reservoirs and manage the issues of the environment don't become an issue. We are planning to develop some 1,500 megawatts in the next 40 months, today 30 months. We have very well-articulated programs, roadmaps to be able to do that. And we want to urge the other development partners to come along with Africa Development Bank to support us in doing that. I just came back the other day with the president looking for gas to fire the 700 LNG thermal plant in Dongokundo, where the bids are just at the final stage of award. And I was telling my president that rather than scout around looking for support in LNG and running a comparative between LNG and steam, it would appear to me that as a natural resource, if we harness steam to the extent of the potential that we have in this country, it would possibly return more value than even if we had gas in the country. Because today, power generated from steam, which is readily available as compared to power generated from gas, which we are having to either develop when we make discoveries or to get from some of our partners who have gone ahead and developed their gas. You will get gas to run turbines by developing steam, and by the time you deliver power to the grid, the power that comes out of gas would possibly be more expensive than power that comes out of geothermal. So we're going to pay attention to developing geothermal and put more resources to that so that we can address that. And of course, like I said, green energy. We work on other programs like, maybe I need to say this, geothermal. Kenya is pitching to host the World Geothermal 2020, competing amongst other economies like the United States, Japan, Ethiopia, maybe they didn't pitch, and New Zealand or Australia. And it's one thing for us, we are paying a lot of attention. It's one of those resources that we have, and we'll work very quickly to develop that geothermal. But again, I'm mentioning this without changing the focus of today.